Hello world, welcome and well done for finding us. We're recording this live from Scotland as both an audio podcast and a video for our YouTube channel, so feel free to check us out over there as well. My name's Simon, I'm here with my good friends and co-hosts Jimmy D and Brucey. It's the 1st of June 2021 and welcome to the Burek. Gentlemen, hello. Good evening.
Hey, Si, how are you getting on?
Good, James. I'm good. How are you? Brucey, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you. Yes, good week so far. Enjoying the sunshine.
Good. Oh, that's been beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful. I think, guys, first of all, we should say hello to everyone. This is our first show that we are putting out there to the public.
Wow. Yeah. Start of many, hopefully.
First of at least one.
At least one.
Yeah. No. We hope to entertain you for a long time to come. First of all, maybe we should explain a little bit about the name. James, do you want to do that and tell the listeners and viewers why we're calling ourselves what we're calling ourselves?
Well, exactly. I mean, as a lot of you will know, a burek. If anybody's ever come to my house, it's a burek. it's a Scottish word for a bit of a mess, a bit of a shambles, stuff going on, and that's a little bit what I think this podcast is going to be. It's going to be a bit of a mess, bit of a shambles, and we're going to muddle our way through it and see what it sounds like at the end, and hopefully you might find it slightly entertaining. If not interesting, there's going to be some interesting things as well in the podcast. You'll learn something from every podcast, I think, and that's going to be good, so everyone should be learning something every day. So yeah, I think it'll be good.
Exactly.
It's a good name. It's a good name for it, actually. We toyed around with a few, didn't we? I don't know if we want to. We shouldn't really run through the list of everything we discarded, but just in case we have to change the name and we pick one of them. But
that's exactly. No, it is a good name. It's a good Scottish name. I'm looking forward to meeting with you guys on a regular basis and sort of chatting through what's on our minds and other bits and pieces. Talking about that, the show is going to be broken down into several sections, so you can skip forward to any section you maybe want to. Usually we're going to have a sort of how's your week section where we talk about how our weeks have been. We're going to have a little section about what's on our mind where we sort of talk again about what we've been thinking about or what's bugging us or annoying us or entertaining us this week. Bruce, you're going to be running a Scottish quiz for us every week where Battle of the Titans, James and myself are going to be battling it out to see who knows the best or the most about Scotland. We've got news you haven't read, which is going to be a fun section where we highlight some news stories that aren't maybe out there in the press in a wider sort of format and people maybe haven't heard about. James, every week you're going to be bringing us a whiskey, some information on the whiskey. As one of your passions is whiskey. So
it is. I'm looking forward to it because there's a lot of weeks in a year.
And then we're going to round off every show with maybe a sort of Scottish word competition where we present a word and the other two of us have to guess the actual meaning of that word. So without any further ado, it's going to be good fun, hopefully. Let's get on with the show, shall we? And begin with sort of how's your week? So how has your week been, boys? I know it's been hot, so what have you been doing with the sun?
Been a great time for getting out in the garden, Si. That's what I've been doing. Been out in the garden and doing some proper. This isn't just weeding. This isn't just cutting the grass. That's just maintenance. That's not gardening. That's maintenance. Okay. This has been gardening. I've had a digger in. There's been a digger. There's just stuff not there that was there before, and there's a skip in the driveway. I mean, it is proper landscaping. It's a full-on project, and I've started now. I've looked at it. I almost cried at the end of today because I think I can't go back now. I've got to finish this.
Gone too far.
And there's still so much to do. But it's the weather for it. It's been absolutely gorgeous, as you say. So yeah, gardening has kind of been. That's all my spare time this week, and planning the gardening as well.
Yeah. So you've had a skip. Have you found a fish tank in your skip yet? Usually people just put fish tanks in skips.
Do they? No.
In my experience.
I haven't found a fish tank. It's all turf and soil going in mine, and I'll see you in the morning. Maybe somebody will sneak one in, but no, nothing.
We got a fish tank once. Not a fish tank. We got a skip once for some work, and a neighbour that I've never spoken to since or before came out and said, "Can I put a fish tank in your skip?" I said, "All right." And I came back from work the next day, and there was 4 fish tanks in my skip. So there you go. Never say yes to.
Well, that's one way to get rid of them. Is his car not big enough to take them to the dump?
Anyway, no, I guess not.
Okay.
Brucey, how about you? What have you been up to?
Well, I've been off this week, or most of this week. Back to work the last couple of days. yeah, I'm a bit mad because nobody else was off, so I was off kind of on my own, and then suddenly just
Huh.
school runs and school pickup and normal life. Suddenly it just felt like a kind of work week without emails. That's really the only difference between
Did you do more
this
running?
week.
Are you still doing the running? You done any more
I did a bit of
5Ks?
running. Did a bit of running last week. 3 5Ks last week. Did 10K yesterday. So yeah, managed
Good.
to get a
Good
few
lad.
runs in, which is nice. Keeping ticking over.
It's always good to get the exercise ticking over, isn't it?
Run, fat boy, run.
Good stuff. Well done. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I believe the weather's going to be nice for the rest of this week at least, so that's a bonus for here in Scotland.
And if you listen to this podcast 3 weeks from now, this won't mean anything to you. You won't care about the weather, so we should probably cut the weather section out.
We'll make it a weekly thing. Anyway, what was the weather like last week when we recorded the show? So, what's on your mind? Let's move to the next section. Brucey, what's on your mind this week, my friend?
Well, what came up this week was I watched the Friends reunion program that was on over the weekend.
Did you? I didn't watch that.
Seen it?
How was it?
Well, I don't want to get into a sort of dissection of the actual program because I thought there was a lot of faults with it actually, and you know why James Corden, basically.
It was Sky.
But-
It's Sky. He does Sky. He does Sky stuff, and he's Saturday Night Live. So it appeals to both a UK and American audience, maybe. You see, because he's both sides of the water. So.
Why? Just why? But
No,
there were elements of it
okay.
which I thought
them.
were really good, and what really struck me was, and you know, don't want to embarrass myself on my first podcast here, chaps, but I was actually quite moved by it. I found some of it quite emotional to watch, which I was really surprised at because I haven't watched an episode of Friends for, I mean, at least 10 years, probably more like 12, probably since the last time I actually sat and watched them. But I used to watch it quite a lot. It used to be on E4 or whatever, and I used to watch a couple of episodes a night just in the background, not really thinking of myself as an avid fan. And I was really surprised by seeing their emotion as a cast of what they'd kind of been through watching it, and then actually how much of it you'd kind of got involved in and been kind of sort of sucked in by the comedy of it. And I just thought it was interesting to note kind of how much something that you don't even think you're that into it still sticks with you.
There's a number of things. I mean, we watched it as well. We watched it on the day after it was actually on the TV. So we watched it the day after. But there was a couple of things. Yeah, I mean, one was actually how funny Friends actually is. It's got its faults, but for the program of its time, it was actually quite funny. And we watched a few episodes since that of the program and laughed a lot of the way through. And it reminded me how good it was. But also, what the comment we were making at the time was actually how sad it is that the women have had to do so much to their faces to sort of maybe stay relevant and get jobs, etc. And that was one of the things that
or what they feel they have to do that. You mean
exactly, perhaps, and that's a bigger question. But yeah, it's and I mean the only one I think that came out of it, I think the best was actually Matt LeBlanc, who actually looked and sounded like a decent normal guy.
Yeah, I thought he was quite good on that Top Gear until he got with Chris Evans. I think he was on with, wasn't he? He was actually all right on Top Gear for a wee while. I thought he was pretty decent. It's a shame that they got rid of that group and got a new group in. I mean, the new group's good, but yeah, Matt LeBlanc did quite well. Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen, there's been a whole pile of memes made of Matt LeBlanc from some of the pictures from the actual episode, mostly from Ireland, where they've turned him into Irish Da, an Irish uncle, sitting there on his sofa, kind of going, and they're well worth having a look at. But I mean, I don't like to say I didn't really want to get into the whys and wherefores of the program because I thought actually lots of it was actually rubbish. But some of it was really moving. Actually, the first 5 minutes I thought was actually probably the most interesting of the lot when they just them as people who used to work in a place came back to that place and remembered what it was like to do that job. I just find that really quite profound, actually.
So, the big question then, Brucey, for those that haven't watched it, would you recommend it?
Yes, I would. I mean, if you don't like Friends, then I don't think you would get a huge amount out of it. But actually, as I say, the first 5-10 minutes, actually before the James Corden stuff kicks in, just actually as a group of people who did something where they obviously they've clearly got a great bond, they clearly get on very well, they clearly had a brilliant time doing it. I mean, why wouldn't you? 10 years of doing a comedy, whatever.
Yeah, it was a massive part of their life as well.
And it was huge. I mean, it's one of the biggest things on the planet. Certainly
Yeah.
the late 90s, it was absolutely massive. You couldn't move for French stuff. So they had a very unique experience. So just the kind of human side of it, I thought was actually really quite interesting. Program, not so much.
I think it's even, for a gentleman like ourselves of a certain age, it's actually quite depressing to think it stopped, in 2004, I think it was. So that was the last episode actually ever filmed. And you remember that last episode, or I do anyway, and thinking, my God, has it really been that long? How old am I? But there we go.
We are old, Si.
We are. We're getting there. But we're maturing nicely, I think. That's maybe.
We are like a fine whiskey, which we'll come on to later.
And I would also probably say that it was getting towards that last period before telly started to diverge into all this sort of digital stuff and viewing platforms and things. It was one of the last really big things that everybody will have watched. I mean, yes, things are popular now, but Friends was ginormous across the planet. Whereas now, yes, you've got more access to things, but there's way more stuff. And actually, I don't think anything will probably ever have quite the same cachet that a show like that had.
No. And, for them, there'll always be 25-year-olds on TV because they'll always play it, and people always think of them as being 25-year-olds, and that's probably nice
Time
for
of
them
your
as
life.
well.
Do you know what? If you could go back to any age, if I could go back to any age 25, that would be a good age to go back. University's done, young, free and single, 25's good.
We'll maybe delve more into that, James, on an episode later on in the show.
Happy to.
I was just going to. I've started to. I think maybe it is a sign of getting old as well. But I've started to find myself getting very annoyed at cars on the road, and not just cars. Actually, number plates of cars. I have to travel these Edinburgh.
It's legal,
bypass.
They have to have them.
They do. But what is annoying me is the personalised number plates, and not just your average. Your normal letter, a couple of numbers, and then a couple more letters again.
Yeah.
It's when people are trying to make words out of the letters and numbers on their number plates. And I find myself having to try and work out what these words are supposed to be. And I'm supposed to be concentrating on the drive-in. And that's annoying me because it's distracted me. And
it's annoying you because you can't work it out.
That's what's getting me. I can't work out, is it a name? Is it a company name? Is it trying to be just clever? There's a few locally to me. And I won't reveal them, but I mean, there's a few quite nice ones locally to me, and they're quite clever, and they're quite obvious what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And you have a wee laugh when you read it, especially one of them. But anyway, but then you see, I'll tell you off air. But these ones
boobs. Is it 8008 or something?
These ones I see on the Edinburgh City bypass are, and some of them the same, because obviously the same journey at the same time, roughly every day. So I see some of the same cars, and they're just I don't know, distracting and annoying, I'm finding, and especially when they're really trying to make words out of something that isn't really a word. I don't know if any of you have come across this.
I saw one. I saw one the other day, and it took me a couple of seconds, and I went, "Oh, that's supposed to say Donald."
Yeah. But meantime, you've crashed in the car in front of you because you've been spending too long trying to work on this.
Donald. I didn't, because I'm a good driver. So.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's what's been on my mind this week, and maybe it's just me. But
what's your favourite one? What's your favourite number plate that you've seen that you'd like? You think, oh, that's clever. I like that. Well, because you must see some, like you say, some are obvious, and you go, oh, that's cool. What is it?
I know. There's a funny one going around which is.
No, this can't be an internet thing. It has to be something you've seen.
No, that's what I mean. It's the one that's local to me. And I'm not gonna reveal it on because it's a person and they're driving their car, but I'll tell you. But it's quite a rude one and it's quite funny, and it sort of fits with the person, I guess, that's driving it. So that's.
So you're not going to tell us.
I'm not going to tell you. No, not on here.
Speaking of our own one, anyway.
Brucey. Well, Brucey, what's your favourite? What's your favourite one you've seen?
Well, Bruce Forsyth infamously has Bruce 1. So I think that's my.
My
okay.
Favourite. Is that the one you always wanted?
Yeah, that's a good number plate.
Nice.
Quite like that. Bruce 1.
But Bruce 1, I mean, you get to the next stage of number plates where you paid so much money for it, it's actually obvious what it is.
Yeah.
If your average person was trying to make Bruce 1 out of, the numbers and letters available.
B3, a reverse T,
3, 4.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's literally the word Bruce. Yeah.
That's what's bugging me. Yeah, yeah.
I used to work at a company where there was a lot of contractors, and I used to contract as well. And contractors, and this was right way back, the early 2000s anyway. And there was a guy that I knew was a contractor drove up in his wee MG, and a number plate was just "I owe tax," and I just thought it's very funny.
That's good.
It's quite a
Very
good.
good.
And I've always remembered that. I've always remembered that because I thought that that's very funny.
It's quite a good tour game that actors play sometimes, where you have to make up the sentence from the last three letters of the normal number plate. So you get the kind of YTF, and you have to kind of make up a little sentence that goes with that. That can be quite a laugh, particularly if you're sitting in a traffic jam.
A car journey. Right, I was going to say a car journey one. Is that like the? We should do that. What's your foot? With the holidays coming up, Si.
Yeah.
Right, we should add on. What is your favorite car journey game? Right, let's have car journey games next week, because that'll be useful for people with all these kids in the back when they're trying to entertain them on a 5-hour trip to North Uist.
That's right.
Very soon, and they need some games to play with the kids, and
right.
that might come in handy. Or you can
yeah.
just text me.
Got a belt on.
You got a trip coming up, James, by any chance? Brilliant. Right. Okay. Good. Brilliant. That's good. Good. Couple of things there to get us thinking. We're moving on, I think, probably to the quiz section of the show. Brucey, you're going to lead this for us, so perhaps you'd like to take over and tell us all about the quiz.
Brilliant. Yeah. So each week, what I'm going to do is ask the chaps 10 questions with a Scottish theme. Well, it's quite a general quiz this week, but we may do Scottish films, we may do Scottish music, we may, float around a little bit, but this week's just a kind of general knowledge one. The idea with the quiz is that I'll ask a question, and Simon, you're going first this week, so you get the first 5, you get to answer first, and then James, you get to go second. Okay. You can answer the question, you can either take Simon's answer, or you can obviously provide your own answer, or you can agree with Simon's answer. It's entirely up to you. So you get that kind of advantage of going second for the first 5 questions, and then we flip it round. James answers first, and Simon answers second. Okay. Happy enough with that?
Good. Sounds fun. Clear as mud. Right. Let's.
Yeah. Today there's quite a few number answers, so I'm gonna accept the kind of closest answer. So if you don't know and you're second, you can obviously play the game, right?
Right.
You can obviously.
I hear you.
All right. Okay, all so right. You ready for question number 1?
Go for it.
Okay. Go for it. So, question number 1 is roughly how many golf courses are there in Scotland?
For God's
sake. James, I can hear him Googling already. Golf courses.
Yeah, that phone there.
No idea. Roughly. Without any help at all, this is going to be, I'm going to say, oh my God, I don't even know what to say. Golf courses.
Jesus.
350.
Oh, is that many in Fife?
Exactly, I don't know. 300. Let's go for 350.
So he's gone for 350. James, how many golf courses do you think?
I think it's. I know there's a number that's like 800 in my head, and I think that's Monroe's though. It's about 824 Monroe's or something. I think that's why that number stuck. But I still think it's up at the. I'm going to go nearer 457.
457.
Interesting number, right?
Okay, good. Well, I can tell you that James is closest, and it's roughly 550 is the answer to question number 1.
Okay.
So that's a point for James.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
All right. So there you go. That's
interesting.
Question number 1.
Right.
Okay, question 2. Of course, Simon, this is your ballpark, so I'm hoping this will be one for you. The actor Gerard Butler originally trained as a what?
Oh, trained as something.
Milkman.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was what's
not your turn. You gotta wait.
Well, see, I want to say, I don't know. I want to say footballer.
Footballer.
But you don't.
Is that your answer? You going with that?
I suppose you do. Yeah. I'm gonna say he used to be a footballer before he became an actor.
Gerard Butler used to be a footballer. To me.
I haven't a clue. I'm gonna go with he's a butch guy. Do I go with physical, PE guy, PE instructor, or PE instructor? What is that? I'm so 70s, man. Personal trainer, right? Is that maybe it? But he's old as well. It probably was a PE instructor back in his days. Or an accountant. I'm gonna go with accountant.
Well, you're slightly more in the ballpark, but the answer is actually a lawyer. Trained as a lawyer.
Oh, so close. Everybody hates both of them. Okay.
Outrageous.
Okay, I'm
Okay,
doing
Simon,
well so
question
far.
number
Did I say that out
3.
loud?
Okay.
So this one's a straight up
I can't-
answer. What is the longest river in Scotland?
I know.
The River Esk.
Big me.
Going for the River Esk. Okay.
Sigh, it's not even the longest in Midlothian.
James,
The Esk-
do you
I don't
fish
know.
in your area?
It is. I'm going to go for the Silvery Tay.
Is the River Tay. Well done.
The Silvery Tay.
Okay. No pressure, Sam, but normally when you go first, you should be.
I'm going off this quiz.
It's the first week. Don't go off the quiz.
Go on
Okay. Now, I'm not sure who this question's best for, but there. Which, and I might give you a clue for this, which top flight football team in England or Scotland is the only club to contain a letter that no other club has?
Ooh. And now, are you adding both English top flight and Scottish top flight together?
Yes. And I'll
Or
give you a
you-
wee clue.
yes,
As it's a Scottish quiz, that's a wee clue for you.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so a Scottish
So it
team.
So it's a
might
Scottish
be
team.
in the
Let's-
Scottish top.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, okay, it's a Scottish team in the top league. Right. Okay.
Scottish
fine,
team
fine.
in the top flight. It's the only one
Whose,
that has
whose
this
question is this? This
particular
is still size. This is
Simon's
still size
first.
question, right?
It's still my question, but I have as
Simon's
much chance of
first.
getting this right as
Do you know any teams in the top flight, Si?
Go with-
the only ones
go
I can
with,
think of.
Some that you've heard
don't
recently,
have-
maybe, Sam.
Okay. St Johnson.
Okay, so he's going for Saint.
It's got a J in it.
Okay. James.
Oh, that's a good shout. I was trying to think if there's another United. Is it Dundee United? Is there
Top flight
U?
clubs with
Is there a U?
United. Manchester United, Leeds United.
Oh, I suppose I was just thinking Scottish there, but yes, you're right. We
Newcastle
were mashing
United.
the two together. You're right. Yes, okay. Yes, okay. Right, fine. Scratch that. I didn't pick that. Let's. Do you know I'm going to pick size answer? St Johnson. I'm going to go with the. I can't.
Coffee and
Yeah, the
size
J.
answer.
The J is a good one.
Johnston.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
You are both
Thanks.
right. The J is unique
Hey!
to St Johnstone. There you go.
Look at
Point
that.
And the only one in the English or Scottish top flight with a J in it. Wow. Okay.
According to the
Here's an
clever
interesting
folk on the
trivia
internet.
fact for you. Wow.
All right.
There you
Excellent.
go.
Question 5.
I'm
Last
pleased with
question
that.
for
Right.
Si to go first. It's another number answer.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
On average, how many days a year does it rain in Scotland, apart from in the Highlands, which has a slightly higher rainfall percentage?
Right, okay.
I'll give you a clue, Si. It's between 0 and 365 or 6.
Okay. Right, okay. I mean, it feels like most of them, to be honest. But I'm going to say, on average, in a year, it rains for. Is it how? Yeah. 112.
112. So he's gone for
Oh.
approximately a third, just under a
It's
third.
less than I would have said. I would have. Yeah, I would say it's a bit more than a third. I was 150. I was going to say, which is almost half, but I don't know if it is quite that as much as that. Now I'm thinking about it.
Is that your answer, James?
No, 125.
25.
Okay.
Okay, you still get the point because you are closer. 175, apparently, is the average.
150 would have been closer. Wow.
Closer.
Okay. 175 average, more than half
Yeah.
the year.
So
I can believe it, to be
There
fair.
you go.
Yeah.
Wow. And what constitutes a rain day though? I suppose it's only when it gets above us, if it rains at all within the weather station or something, isn't it? When you get like a centimetre of rain in some weather station somewhere. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, right, we're on the second
Good.
half of the quiz. So now, James, your first answer. Simon, you can copy or you can come up with your own. All right.
Okay.
So,
okay.
James, then. Ben Nevis is widely known to be the highest mountain in Britain. What is the second highest?
The name escapes me. I know it. It is
The name's quite important in terms of the quiz.
Yeah.
Ben McDoo. Is it McDooey? McDoo? Ben McDoo? Something like that. I didn't know. It's still in Scotland. It's not one of the three peaks. It's second highest in Britain is in Scotland. It's Ben McDoo. I'm sure it's McDoo.
I'm going to have to take your answer, Jim. We'll be here all night.
Right. Okay. McDoo. Yeah. McDoo.
McDoo.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Simon?
Well, I don't know the answer to this, and I was hoping James would come up with it because he's into his mountains and walks and things like that. But
Going to steal James's answer, or are you going to?
I'm going to steal. I'm going to steal his answer because I have no idea. So I'm going to
James's
say
answer.
whatever James.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
It was right. I'm going to get you at Ben McDooey. It's just me.
Dewey. That's what I was
Ben
doing.
McDooey.
McDooey. I thought it was something like that. Ben McDooey. Yeah.
And
Well done,
for a
James.
bonus point, how many of the top 10 mountains in Britain are in Scotland?
10.
That's the right answer. Yeah, all 10. Top 10,
all 10.
highest peaks
All
are
10.
all in Scotland.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, James, first question for you. Which Scottish actor plays the role of King Dane in the Hobbit movie, The Battle of Five Armies?
Oh, Billy Connolly.
James, go for Billy Connolly, Simon.
I got an actor one.
He seems very confident with that. I can't actually remember. That's the trouble.
Oh man, this
I
is
can't
your.
remember
This
all the
is,
Scottish actors. There's not many.
Billy Connolly. I didn't remember him being in the.
The battle is the Battle of the Five Armies. You said.
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Right, okay. I would have said. See, I was going to go with James Cosmo there, but I don't even know if that's right or not. Well, I'm going to go with James Cosmo just so it's a different answer.
James Cosmo. No. No, the man. It's Billy Connolly, of course, which is likely to appear most weeks. Yeah.
It's likely to appear most weeks.
If in doubt, choose Billy
yeah,
Connolly.
yeah.
Okay. Right.
Oh, well done, James. I
good.
take my hat off to you. Well done. Right.
So the scores it's 6-2 to James at the moment. So it's a lot.
Oh, I
Big
hate
last
losing
few
to
questions.
James. I
needed.
hate it.
I know.
Okay.
Okay,
big
so
push.
James, this is in your territory for sure. A bottle of Macallan 1926 60-year-old malt whiskey from cask 263 sold 2 years ago, 2019, for a world record price. How much did that single bottle sell for?
I think it was £1 million.
£1 million. Okay. Simon?
I can't remember.
All right. I'm going to go for a bit less. I think I'm going to go for. I don't know. I'm going to go for £120,000.
That is a...
I've got a bottle in the back room worth that.
1.45 million was the answer. It's another point.
Was
for
it
James.
as much as that? I knew it was over $1 million. Yeah,
1.45.
I was going to say 1.1, but I couldn't remember.
Well, that's just crazy. Okay.
It's just
One bottle. Okay, last couple of questions. So, James, the top 10 most populous towns and cities in Scotland contains only 4 of the cities, being Glasgow, Edinburgh, Dundee, and Aberdeen. So, can you name me any of the other 6? And you need 3 at least to get the point. So, the most populous towns outside of Glasgow, Edinburgh, Dundee, and Aberdeen, please.
Inverness City.
Going for Inverness.
Perth
Yep.
City.
Okay. Yep.
I'm going to go for Stirling.
Okay. And that's your 3.
You want any more? All right.
I'm giving you 3. Okay. So that's your 3. Okay. There are 6.
Well, to be honest, probably I know, but I think those are probably the 3 most popular ones, I would think. Towns or cities? They've got to be just place. What are they? Remind me.
I'm going to repeat the question. So the top 10 most
Please.
populous towns and cities in Scotland contains only 4 cities: Glasgow, Edinburgh,
Right.
Dundee, and Aberdeen. Can you name the other 6?
They're not the only 4 cities.
Okay.
No, but they're the only
The most
4 cities
popular.
in the top 10 most populous places in Scotland.
So we're looking for
so
6
two of mine are
towns.
wrong then.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Ah,
Okay.
you.
For popular then, I
look you and your tricky questions, man.
trick answers. I don't know. I'm going to say towns. Peebles. Then I'm going to
Quiet
say
borders town of Peebles. Yeah, okay, good.
Well, it might be popular. You never know. It might be popular.
Okay, yeah, good. Populous.
Falkirk's got to be in there, Si.
Populous. I've misread the question. I don't know. Let's go Stirling and Falkirk. Right. Okay.
There you go.
People Stirling
I need
Falkirk.
one more, Si. Peebles, Stirling, Falkirk.
Do you? All right.
I don't think either of you've got any of them, to be honest with you. So the top 10
Really?
top 10 is made up of Paisley, East Kilbride, Livingston, Hamilton, Dunfermline, James,
Livingston.
and Cumbernauld.
I nearly said Dunfermline.
So in terms of residents,
there you
they are
go.
the biggest, and they are bigger than Perth and Inverness and all those.
In my defence, I misheard, and I thought you said popular places.
Si, it's because it was a tricky question. It was all a bit wordy and a wee bit, got to listen carefully. Hey, it's one of these.
Blame the question. Blame
All
the
right,
question
well done.
for your incompetence. Right, last question.
No,
Okay.
no, it's fair to say.
In the Deacon Blue
My
song,
question, right.
in the Deacon Blue song, Dignity, the man plans to sail his dinghy up the west coast through villages and towns. But how many miles is it between Stranraer in the southwest and Durness in the northwest as the crow flies? The west coast, Stranraer to Durness.
As the crow flies.
As the crow flies. How many miles?
200.
James has gone for 200.
And 25.
Oh, hello, it's Jace.
Bit of a delay there on the
25.
answer.
It was.
Sorry, that must be the internet. Yes, 225. Just to repeat that.
Right. Okay.
Sure.
Well, I'm
Sorry.
going to. I'm
If you
going-
don't stop at Costa on the way,
Other coffee shops are
That's a
available.
it's a detour.
I'm going to say 385.
Nice. Oh, you're going to make me do maths now. The answer is 245. So I think
That's
James.
fine,
Oh, no,
it is
254.
me.
Sorry, 254. So I
Oh,
think it's Jim. Jim again.
Ah,
It's
must be James again.
almost a whitewash this week. James got almost every answer there.
225.
Well done.
This,
Hey?
yeah, well played, Tom. Well played.
Well done. So week one's victor is James. I must do better.
Yeah,
Well done,
get used to
James.
it. Get used to it. Just call it the Jimmy D Trophy.
I will have my revenge
will
next
play
week. I'll be studying up all week.
It's the first time you've studied in 6 years, Actually, no, you went to uni, didn't you?
I've also just passed a college course as well. Thanks for
Have you?
asking.
Right. Okay. Well done.
Right. Okay. So well done, James. Right.
So smart.
Well done, Bruce. Thanks for the quiz. Right. We're going to move on to our next section, which is news you haven't read yet. So these are news items that we've found that may not be getting the coverage that we think they should deserve. So we're going to speak about them on the show here. So who would like to go first with a news item that you might have found this week?
Oh, me. Okay,
Bruce, is that you?
I got
All right. Sorry.
no.
Yeah,
no,
thanks, Sam.
it wasn't him.
Go on,
Bruce is gonna
James.
go
Go on,
first,
James.
isn't
No,
he?
you go.
No,
for it.
okay. So in Perth, right, and this is somewhere obviously you've got everywhere. You go around cycle routes or walking routes, and if they go under any sort of a road, and you've got those really wide concrete supports for the road that go up, right, and they're fairly unsightly, and you walk past them, and they're just kind of like massive big concrete slabs, right, holding roads up as you're kind of walking under them to kind of get where you need to go. And in Perth, what they decided to do is that there's a cycle route that has to pass under, the M90 and then goes under the A9, and and actually does a couple of these. So what they decided to do was these are blank canvases. So they have got artists to paint absolutely amazing pictures of wildlife on these big concrete slabs, and it looks amazing. They've got kingfishers, they've got foxes, they've got stags on there, and I think they have done an amazing job with that, and it's a really good idea. And I think it's an idea that I think it was SSE that did I read a while ago in a paper that their substations, they've started to paint that they're putting in so that they kind of blend in with the environment a little more, or a bit nicer to look at than just kind of corrugated iron, sheets of whatever. They've got really nice artists to paint that, and not only is it nice to look at, it actually is commissioned work for artists as well. So you get people to paint these, and they can actually get apply their trade and get paid for it. So it's a great idea, and I think it really brightens up the walk, and it's an amazing thing. So, yeah, that's what they're doing in Perth, and I think that's brilliant.
Very good. I take it. Did you say they're local artists? Are they?
Don't actually. I don't know if they were local artists or not
Right.
that painted them. I would hope that they would have been. There's plenty in Perthshire, that are selling their wares. So I would hope they did get a local artist to do it. But they are very high quality paintings on these.
Great.
But one other thing, and I'm going to steal this before anybody else gets in here, because you let me have the mic, so I'm going to keep it. There's a company in Kinross, and this is a really good thing, and this is kind of why I want to grab this, and I just want to make sure it gets mentioned. Called Trishaws, okay, and this company started in August 2019. And do you know what a trishaw is? And we're going to have to explain that. It's like a rickshaw, except you sit behind the basket. So the rickshaw, you're in front. A trishaw, you're actually behind. So instead of the two wheels being at the front, they're at the back. You know what I mean? So the two wheels are in front of you as you're cycling. Okay. And you've got the person sitting in front of you, right? And this trishaws was started by a woman called Kirstine Ross in August 2019, and they go and they take the elderly and the isolated out that can't normally get out and see sort of scenic spots around Kinrossshire, all around there. And they had to stop during COVID, obviously, but they've now been able to start back up again. And for people who are lonely and people who are isolated and don't get out and about, they pull the rickshaw over, they'll speak to young families and they'll tell them what they're doing, and it's just a little bit, it's a way of them interacting and getting people out the house, and actually the fresh air and the wind rushing through them. And especially in weather like this, it's been amazing. And so they are doing that again, and I think it's a brilliant thing that they're doing. And if anybody is interested in any of that in Kinrossshire, by the way, it's kinrosstrishaws@gmail.com, and you can email Kirsten and find out more about it. But she's doing a great job down there. So I wanted to mention that as well.
Great. We can put a link to that as well in the description of this podcast, so people can click on it if they want and go and check it out. Sounds great. Brucey, have you got something to bring to the table?
Well, just something I noticed. I actually noticed it on Twitter, but it's a newspaper story this week, Simon. It piqued my interest, made me sort of laugh and mad all at the same time, which was... Well, I'll tell you the story first, and then you can see if you can work out what the publication was. But you may have noticed that there were some royals came up to Scotland last week, and a certain newspaper published an article last week analysing the 8 different looks that the Duchess of Cambridge had used while she was in Scotland, and had analysed into the deep meanings as to what she was trying to say and her views on the current, state of Scotland.
Was this the Daily Express?
Right.
Well, you'd think so. Of that kind of stuff. And I just thought it was just the most bonkers story. It's terrible sort of objectification of any woman, and just an excuse to put pictures of a pretty lady in their newspaper, trying to kind of read
how long were
politics
they up
into.
here?
I don't know, a couple of days, and I just thought it just it's so much wrong with it as a story that it made me mad, and it was actually in.
So were
Why
they
did
saying?
you have to? Okay.
So were they
Well, why
saying?
did you have to wear eight outfits in 2 days? I mean, did she spill a lot? I mean, was she drinking coffee and eating like Chinese and stuff? And is it just get all over?
It might have
Is
been a
that why
week.
she
I
had to
don't know.
change?
It's just
I
different.
think they were up for
events,
more.
you know,
It's
so-
just about a week, I think. Yeah.
But even still, that's a lot of outfits.
So were they saying, sorry, that there was some sort of like hidden codes in these outfits or something, or what was the actual,
Yeah.
point of it?
Well, I think that was the sort of basic, so she's wearing plaid here to show that she likes Scotland and therefore she has an affinity with the Scottish people. That kind of,
Right.
sort of an
Okay,
analysis,
yeah.
which is, but actually it's showing that the royals are their views on whatever, and it's like, just give me a break. And the paper was the Daily Telegraph, it's a broadsheet, and that's their kind of clickbait view of the world. And it just was like, that is ridiculous. So sorry, that was my newspaper thought for the week.
Yeah. No, it's.
Did you click on it?
crazy.
Yeah, it's behind a paywall. I couldn't get in.
You clicked on it though; it worked.
Only for research, Jimmy. Only for research.
Only for research purposes.
Needed research, brilliant. Well,
I genuinely did not pay the money. I can assure you that.
Good.
I think it's must be a slow news week, perhaps. I don't know. There's nothing else happening in the world, so why not report on dresses? I guess.
But also,
okay,
it
well,
just-
mine,
it-
my.
Sorry.
No, carry on.
Well, but also it just dehumanizes her as a woman as well. Like she's just a kind of she's just a mannequin for a frock. It's like she's an intelligent woman. She has a degree. She's got things to say, I'm sure, about the world, and yet she's kind of reduced to this kind of tokenistic kind of clothes horse. It's just absurd in so many ways. Sorry.
No, it's your valid point, Brucey. Mine is slightly different again. I was searching for just events to talk about or whatever, and came across in the crowdfunder website the Scottish Coal Carrying Championships. Now this is a event that is run in Kelty and Fife, which, as James will tell us, I'm sure, used to have over 14 pits or mines near around its location.
Big mining town, Loch Kelly as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
all around there was big mining villages. Yeah.
And it sort of comes from the idea in the late 1800s, apparently, where the colliers would run home from the pits. And so there's a gentleman, and I can't find his name at the moment, but he has decided to try and reinstate this race where men and women and children can run around Kelty with coal bags over their shoulders. He was trying to raise money for the event to go ahead. He's actually managed to raise the funds needed. So the good news is that they will be running this race on the 28th of August, 2021. Right. They used to do it, apparently, for 21 years they did this race, and up to 1995. From 1995 for 21 years, and then they had to stop due to lack of funding. That's why it's gone on to crowdfunder. But they've actually got the money. They're going to run the race. It's 28th of August 2021, and actually I might actually go up and watch it, because it does sound like good fun. It's a big community event. Everyone gets involved by the looks of it, and it tracks over 5,000 spectators, apparently, so it's a big thing.
Did they need to raise the money to buy the coal because the price has gone up so much? Is that why they couldn't afford it anymore?
I'm not sure.
All the
import it
bags
from
of coal
China,
you need for the race.
Well, that's it. It's all the
Costs a
extra
lot more
tariffs
now.
now, exactly. Yeah, but
Dear.
Simon,
No, that's
I
good
thought-
that they're doing that. It's a nice tradition.
Simon, I thought you were about to say, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I've entered myself to have a good go at the call.
well, do you know, if the podcast wants to sponsor me to enter this race,
Come on now.
we could take some
You don't
great
need
pictures.
sponsorship.
Anyway, it's Michael is his name, who's the guy's running it. So anyway, if anyone's interested in that, it is the Scottish Coal Carrying Championships in Kelty. And well done to Michael Boyle, who has raised the money to do that.
Bag
Good.
of coal's heavy. That's heavy to run with. Like,
Well,
I've
for
seen it
anyone
done with
interested,
bags of onions somewhere. I watched something that people were carrying bags of onions. It's probably cheaper than coal. That's maybe why they could run the race and didn't need crowdfunding. But they, but they was the same. You know, you got these athlete runners, and they would just collapse at the end of the line, going absolutely puggled. And it's like 400 meters or something.
There's a
But
picture.
That bag is heavy.
There's a picture on on the website, and no one looks happy, to be honest. But the men are carrying 50-kilo bags, and the ladies are carrying 25
50
kilo
kilos,
bags.
is that what it is? 50
And
kilos.
it says of coal, so it must be
Wow.
coal. So yeah,
Yeah, and that hurts as well when you're running. You're bouncing up and down, and that coal's digging in like.
so basically, good luck
Just
to
to be,
everyone.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, it's not a light. No.
It's not on fire as you're running, though.
Oh
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So that'd be even better. I'd crowdfund that. I'd pay for that.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Watch somebody run about with a bag on fire, running around Kelty. Probably
Yeah.
you see that on a Saturday night, I would imagine.
Good. Guys, I'm conscious we're sort of running quite long on this one. So maybe we should move on to James's Whiskey of the Week. James, you've got maybe a minute or two to tell us a little bit about your favourite whiskies or whatever you want to talk about.
Whatever this segment is. No. I've just picked a couple of whiskies, you know, because we talked the other week about trying to like whiskey and how, you know, everybody, I don't like whiskey. It's not that you don't like whiskey, you just haven't tried the right one, okay? So I'm just going to give you a few suggestions of ones that you can try, some nice mellow whiskies that just get you into it, and how to approach the drinking. So this week we've gone for a wee Tomatin Legacy. For those on Tinterweb, they can see the bottle there, Tomatin Legacy. So it is from the Tomatin Distillery, which is 16 miles south just of Inverness. Been going since 1897, and they've been there. I had to write this down because I couldn't remember the name. But the Altna Firth burn. So you'll find every distillery is right next to a burn or a river that they kind of takes their name. So Glenlivet is next to the River Livet, and you know they all kind of take their names from that, and a famous burn with really fresh water running past. And that's part of what gives the whiskey the flavour and the uniqueness to that distillery is the river that, and where that river picks up any of its minerals and its content as it flows down from the hills and stuff as well. So that's kind of what makes the uniqueness of the whiskey. Anyway, so we've got the Tomatin Legacy. As you can see, I've aired most of the bottle. So this is just going to be a wee dram, okay, and I'll just take you through it as I
Drinking it live. I didn't realise that. Right,
I'm good.
okay.
Oh, really?
wow.
Oh, okay. I suppose I didn't need to drink live,
the
but I just
section,
thought if we're going to do this,
As long as
We're
you're
gonna do
enjoying
this,
yourself,
you
Jimmy,
know.
that's fine.
well, this is it. So
Slime.
if you on the nose, it smells like whiskey. So you know we're in the right ballpark. So the way to drink this, right? I'm not one of these that can smell sort of, you know, running through the field of heather with, you know, your balls hanging out and anything like that. It's just whiskey, right? But it's nice and soft. It doesn't taste fiery. You don't get the peaty smells of the island whiskies, and you don't get that sort of strong TCP smell that you sometimes get from some of the island smoky peaty whiskies, like the Taliskers and the Lafroigs and the Juras and things like that. So it is a lot softer when you smell it. But then just to taste whiskey, just put a wee dribble on your lips, and then just lick your lips.
That's not a
We're all
nice
getting
sound.
that. It's like smelly vision. It's not. Is it not? Is it not like this ASMR stuff?
Well, I mean, it might be for some folk. Not for
Jimmy
me.
D drinking whiskey. Could I get my own podcast at the end
Yeah.
of this? How about that? Just Jimmy drinking whiskey and licking his lips.
Yeah.
No, probably
And
not.
you're saying this is a
Anyway,
good one for
but,
a first timer, Jim?
Yeah, it is. It's a blended whiskey. It's been in a bourbon and a first-time oak cask, and it's a really soft Tomatin. The Tomatin do kind of a lot of year age ranges. They do a 12-year-old, they do a cask strength whiskey, they do a 14 and 18 and a 30-year-old, and they even do a special limited edition 36-year-old whiskey as well. But I was just looking on their website today. Not that that's in my ballpark at all. I don't ever go up at the top end of that. You know, I'm kind of down at the bottom end. But it's an affordable whiskey, really nice to drink. And a really tasty whiskey. I don't need any water with it. I was kind of explaining before when we were talking about this. Whiskey, you don't always have to put water in. You take a wee drink, see what you think of it neat. And if you don't quite like it neat and it's not quite for you, a wee bit of water, just a wee drop, try it again, and it just totally changes the flavour of it. So give it a wee bit of water, and if you still don't like it, a wee bit more water, boom, there you go. That's what you like. go for it. So it's not about this whiskey needs that water. It's about what you like, and I think that's the key. I'm going to be trying to drive home every week here, that it's not about the whiskey. It's about how you like to drink it. But sometimes you'll like them neat, and sometimes you'll like them with water in it. But always try it neat first. Excuse me while I drink the rest of this.
You carry on. Just while I ask you again, just to remind us, sort of what price range is that whiskey in, James?
So that's about £35, I think, in most supermarkets. 35,
right.
Maybe £40 if you got the expensive supermarkets. I don't know, somewhere around about that sort of price range, though. So, most of the whiskies that I buy are kind of in that sort of price range. I don't go for the top end ones that often unless I'm buying presents for someone. There's so many nice whiskies at that range. You don't really have to buy really expensive whiskies to find a good one. So I really do, because there's that many good ones at the other end of the market. Under £50, you can pick up really good whiskies.
And for the sort of total novice like me, if you're drinking a Bell's or a Grouse compared to that, what's the just kind of briefly, how would I know that I'm drinking a Tomat in a little bit higher quality than a Bell's?
Yeah. So it's a good question. I mean, what is the difference between a good quality and maybe a low quality? And you've got to remember, all Scotch whisky is ultimately of a similar quality. You can't call it Scotch unless it's more than 3 years old, 3 years and 1 day old, that's been aged in oak barrels, etc. So there is a definition of Scotch whisky. So there has to be a certain quality, and that quality control kind of partly comes from that. But with the blended whiskies, they take Scotch whisky and they kind of blend them together. And you do get blended single malts, and you get blended Scotch whisky, but you also get blended whiskies, which are, again, slightly different. But if you drink a Bell's or a Grouse, you might find that on its own neat, you'll find it burns a lot more. There's a very alcohol down your throat. It's kind of like a bit more, and it kind of makes you want to cough. That one that kind of just, that was strong. But not great, not as bad as moonshine or anything like that. But you know what I mean, that really strong alcohol taste. But you taste a softer whiskey from Speyside and up in the Highland whiskies, like Tomatin, and you can take a drink of it and it's like a warming that goes down. It's not a burning, it's actually a warming, and you can kind of get that, and it lasts, and you can actually feel it go down. Some whiskies you can drink and they don't give you that long last warmth down, and they actually just finish quite quickly on your mouth, and they almost go immediately. And some stay around more in the mouth than they do down the throat, and so all the whiskies kind of react differently with your body as well. And it's just, you've got to go down that journey to find out. You've got to keep picking different whiskies and trying them, and then you'll find one. That'll be your one.
Brilliant. No, I look forward to coming on this journey with you, James, every week, and hearing
Tomatin
more.
Legacy. So that's all. Yep, Tomatin Legacy this week.
Great.
But I would definitely recommend it. One of my favourites these days, definitely.
Lovely. Right. Well, we'll link to that again in the description as well, so people can go and buy some. Whiskey obviously leads us on nicely to the last section of the podcast, which is the Scottish Word section. We thought it'd be quite fun for each week one of us to bring a word to the podcast, and the other two have to guess the correct meaning for that word. So again, James, I think you've got a word for us this week. Am I right?
I have. I've got several. I've been kind of mulling between them, but I'm gonna pick this one just because I'm gonna make it easier for you.
Okay, great. Seems I did so well in the quiz, I think you need to make it easy for me.
Well, I'm going to give you three options. See, it's a multiple choice, so you know it's going to be a little bit easier straight off the bat. Oh, no. Okay, so the word is tapetless.
Tapetless.
So
like
Scots,
E-T or I-T?
Tapetless. A-P-E-T. So it's tapetless.
Okay.
Tapetless.
Tapetless. Right, okay. And we've got three choices, have we?
Yes. Does it mean you've got no top on?
Okay.
Does it mean you're senseless? Or are you thanking someone with no pets?
Tapetless. Oh yeah, okay. Right. Well done.
Come on.
I'm guessing it's not C.
You guys love that. You love that.
How long did you take picking that up?
I was ages. That's why I had to pick this one. I was thinking of a third one and it just came to me like that.
Oh, jeez. Well, I'm going the second one.
Good.
I think
all right.
being senseless. You're out your mind, like you when you made up those answers. What do you think, Simon?
Tapetless. Well, I think out of process of elimination, I think it's got to be the second one. Yeah, got to be senseless.
I need to make it better, didn't I? I need to make it better. It is senseless. Tapetless means you're senseless.
Well done, tapetless. That's
Yeah,
good.
try and use it in a
Right,
sentence tomorrow.
That's it. It's a challenge for the
That's
listeners.
your goal.
Use it in a
Yeah, that's your
sentence.
challenge from the podcast for
Brilliant.
this.
If anyone
week.
listens
Try
to
and
this,
use tapetless in a sentence.
Yeah, tell us how you managed to squeeze it into your day. Yeah, that'd be very interesting.
Yeah, exactly. If anyone has managed to listen to all the way through and does use that word, do leave a comment under the YouTube video if you can. Like I said
The
before,
sentence that you used.
the sentence that you
Please.
used. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not just a comment. The sentence you used. That'd be good fun to read some of them. Good. Well, guys, look, I think we're coming to the end of our first podcast. It is running a lot longer than we thought it would. We'll maybe try and fine tune that going forward. But if anyone's stuck with us, thank you very much for doing that. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Hope you had a bit of a laugh. I have, and I hope you boys have as well.
I have. I think it overran because Bruce got that's so emotional about that Friends reunion thing. That's what it was. It just kind of went. He just couldn't get that raw emotion out. It took a while to get all of your feelings out there. The anger of James Corden mixed in with the emotions of the reunion.
We'll have to do some editing so that we edit out the tears, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be
do
great.
that.
Thanks.
Do
I
that.
appreciate your support in this difficult time.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good. I've had fun. I hope you boys have had fun as well. If you've watched us on YouTube, thank you. Please do like and subscribe because it does help the channel. And at this point, everything helps the channel because we're just starting. If you've enjoyed the podcast, be our first subscriber. That's the test. Good. Look, we'll be back very soon, probably to talk some more nonsense to you. Until then, everyone be safe, have fun, and see you later. Bye-bye.
We'll get tapetless.
Aye. Go get tapetless.